Morning, Tom Scott, President of Coast Coast Advocate Seniors. We're live. We're here at Fort St. Lucie Rec Center on Risso. We've been here for a long time. We have a lot of things to talk about. Really important stuff to talk about. We have a fantastic guest speaker. But the first thing we're going to talk about, because it's a video that goes to YouTube, is about an hour long. And so in the beginning, we changed up things because we have just a massive event happening September 21st. And the person in charge of that event, right? I'm looking around for it, but she's okay, Andrea, and also Christine. Christine, do you want to talk a little bit about our event on the 21st of September?
Oh, we're talking about it now?
Yes, right now. We're pulling you right up.
So, on the 21st of September, I expect to see all of the Treasure Coast Advocates for Seniors people there supporting. We are having our gala. This is the second annual gala for Roaring 20s. We will be having a costume or gown raffle, not raffle, what do you call it? Prize, best dressed. We are still looking for some sponsorship and we still have tables available. You can go onto Eventbrite, you can scan the QR code. Elder Home Care Service is gonna have 2 tables. Just take your entire staff with you, and have a good time. I had fun last year, so I might get drunk again and give out free drinks again this year. Never know. But if you're interested in sponsorship, here's a sponsorship form. We do now have sponsorship for what, 250, you said 250, 500? So that you will be recognized, but 100% goes to Treasure Coast Advocates for Seniors. There's no paid volunteers, nothing. 100% goes to our seniors. And it's over at the Treasure Coast Lexus. There will be valet and appetizers, food, dessert. I'm sorry? Yes. Oh, and if anyone would like to donate a gift basket to represent their company, please get that to me. You can drop it off at the 1801 building. You can bring it to the next meeting. Actually, no, next meeting is after, right? If you go to the Saco Senior Networking, you can drop it off there, or you can bring it to mine or Andrea's office if you would like to represent your business.
And if you're not around, we will announce your name still, so.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm in charge of posters, so get me your stuff and I will make sure you're on a poster. Any questions, just give me a call. Everyone in here has my text message, or my phone.
So you'll be able to catch this information on YouTube. You can go to the Treasure Coast Advocate Seniors.com. We have the information about that fantastic event, that extravaganza, as we call it. And I guess I have to shop a little more and sort of dress up just a little bit better than last year. Some people were really decked out. It was crazy. And there were some people really shuffling their feet, on the dance floor. So a lot of fun. I hear there will be some drinking. And the food's fantastic. We've been working on this every single week on a Monday night. So after we've had a good time, we worked hard all weekend. Monday night we get together as a group and we prepare and have a huge list of things that are getting accomplished. So do not miss out on this fantastic event, September 21st, next month at the Lexus dealership, and you can see that information everywhere. So we put it all over the meeting. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is get into the history of Treasure Coast Advocate Seniors. I had somebody this morning go, "Hey, how did this all start?" I go, "Well, you're going to hear all about it." Catherine,
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to read the mission statement and then I'm going to give you a little bit of history about how we all got started. The mission of Treasure Coast Advocates for Seniors is to provide healthcare and financial education, counseling, and assistance on the Treasure Coast. Treasure Coast Advocates for Seniors, as we call it, TCAS, was started back in 2008 when Mona Gwynn Huff, Kim Nelson, Gil White, Kim Springer, Kathy Blacken, and myself, Catherine Griffin, decided over coffee to help seniors on the Treasure Coast. We had others join us, and since then, Mona and Gil have passed, and we honor them with carrying this torch of assisting seniors. We are all volunteers. We each have regular jobs, but our commitment is to help seniors in need. In the past, we've helped seniors with their air conditioning needs, appliances, carpet cleaning, pest control issues, and even pet supplies. Lately, we bought a washer, refrigerator. I mean, when you go into these seniors' homes and you see what is, how they're living, it's heart-wrenching. If you know a senior that needs assistance, please speak to one of our board members so we can assist. Our meetings are held here every last Thursday of the month, except for November and December, and we're always looking for new members, and you can join on the website, tcadvocates.org. So I'm gonna let you know what we have coming up, and then we're gonna have Jennifer introduce her speaker. We have next month, September, is Dr. Raines from Florida Orthopedic Specialist. He's gonna be speaking of arthritis, and Molly's House and Elder Care Services. Christine's gonna be the talking sponsor. In October, we have Dr. Kennedy. He's gonna be talking about hip and knee arthroscopy from South Florida Ortho. Jeff from Senior Helpers is our talking sponsor. November, no meeting. December, holiday Christmas party here on the 5th of December. January, we've got a urologist coming, Dr. Tradewell. And then we've got Anna Tillery from White Glove Moving, Storage and Delivery, for coffee sponsor. February, we've got Frank Giampedro Jr. for balance and stability, and Harbor Place is gonna be our coffee sponsor. March, we've got Dr. Josh Sabag, podiatrist. We need a coffee sponsor for March. And in April, Vicky Stromack from Guardian Ad Litem, and we need a coffee sponsor. So if you're thinking that you'd like to do that, please see me after the meeting. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. You wanna have?
Good morning, I'm Jennifer Ross with the Council on Aging in St. Lucie, and I've been a longtime board member with Treasure Coast Advocates, and I can attest to all the wonderful things that this group has brought to the table for our clients, and all the things that Catherine said. Let's give cards at Christmas, it's really a big thing that the board in this group does, so please support us by joining and becoming a member, being a board member. Today, we have arranged for Tangela Brown. She's the Senior Human Services Program Specialist of Adult Protective Services with the Department of Children and Families. She has been with DCF for 30 years.
Wow.
In her years of service, she has found that the keys to delivery of good service is effective communication, developing good listening skills, and always seeing opportunity to learn to bring about a resolution or gain a new perspective. These skills were developed through her work and her own family experience. Tangela has come today to share how Adult Protective Services positively impacts the residents of Florida. She will discuss vulnerable adult criteria, the investigative process, and mandatory reporting procedures. At the end of the presentation, it's the hope that everyone will have a clear understanding of Adult Protective Service role in the state of Florida and how we can all help vulnerable adults. Welcome, Tangela.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Tangela Brown. I'm with Adult Protective Services. It really is a pleasure to be here. I appreciate everyone that is here, and I thank Jennifer Ross for reaching out to our program to ask for someone to provide a presentation on Adult Protective Services and how we impact the state of Florida when it comes to protecting our vulnerable adults. So, as she told you, I have been with Adult Protective 30 years ago. I don't think I've been what I've been through. But I'm glad to be a servant of Adult Protective Services because I first started on the side of food stamps and Medicaid. So I got to learn that program a lot. Every time I would hear a story from an individual, they were really telling me about the things that they were dealing with. And what I found is, it was always about resources. It was always about knowledge and how to apply that knowledge. And I can say that in my own family, because I had an aunt. She was late her 70s, but she took care of everybody in the family, but her eardrums were burst at an early age, because back in the day, they would put turpentine in your ears if you had an earache. But this time they burst her ears. So she was a very smart woman. However, she took care of everyone, but she never learned how to speak, really. But she knew how to take care of everybody, because everybody would show her, things to do, like those simple skills that we do every single day, we may take it for granted. but she took care of all the children. Then I had my grandmother, which was her sister. She was paralyzed from her left side all the way down because of the domestic violence incident, that she had to learn how to walk, talk, everything from ground up. She had to learn how to do it all over again. But can I tell you that that woman was such a tower of strength because of her injury, she never let it stop her from progress. So she learned to read, she learned to write, she became a businesswoman, she drove, she did everything. So from watching these two women in my family, I realized that nothing is impossible when you put your mind to it. And my grandmother always told me it is about service. When you serve others, you can't help but win. Because you're gonna learn from that individual. And then because you've learned from them, it's gonna make your life even more rich. Because now you have a new perspective of how to serve someone and to see what resources they're lacking in and how to educate them and how to apply them. So becoming a part of Department of Children and Families, like I said, has always been about service for me. And when I joined the program on the Adult Protective Service side, because I've been doing the Adult Protective Service side for 15 years now, I was running into families once again, it was about service. It was about resources. It was about the education. Do you understand about guardianship? Do you understand about power of attorney? Do you understand about dual power of attorney and how it all affects your life? And how are you gonna use that information to make your life better, but not only your life, it also has to be about the community as well. So in Adult Protective Services today, I wanna show you a presentation that tells you about what we do, how do we determine as a vulnerable adult, what is the criteria of a vulnerable adult, how we start our investigative process, and who are mandatory reporters. And I can say right now, at the beginning, everyone in this room and whoever is listening online, you're all mandatory reporting. Because mandatory reporting is anytime that you suspect abuse, neglect, or exploitation that possibly could be happening, if you see it, all you have to do is report it. That's your only duty, is just report it. Let the chips fall where they may and let us do our investigative process, and we will determine if abuse or neglect or exploitation has occurred. So let me begin. So for starters, as you can see here is our mission statement. Our mission statement is that the Department of Children and Families to work in partnership with local communities to protect the vulnerable adult, promote the strong and economically self-sufficient families, and advance personal and family recovery and resiliency. Now, when it comes to Adult Protective Services itself, okay, because the first mission statement was the Department of Children overall. And very broad because we have many different programs within the Department of Children and Families, and everyone has their own mission statement, but that's a broad overall. But for the Adult Protective Services, it says that we are dedicated in protecting vulnerable adults from further abuse, neglect, or exploitation, or self-neglect, enabling adults with disabilities to remain in the community. Because oftentimes, many people think about Adult Protective Services, they think that we're a body snatcher, that we just pull people out their home, and that's not what we do, okay? There is something that we have to go by, the standard operating procedures that tell us and guide us on the steps that's appropriate when we're dealing with our vulnerable adults. But our job, our overall job is to protect them. And we start off by protecting adults from anywhere from 18 on up. It starts at 18 for us. This is our investigative process. In our investigative process, you'll notice that it first starts out with the hotline. Anyone can call into the hotline and make a report of abuse, neglect, or exploitation. And all they simply have to do is provide us just a simple narrative, and generally the information is gonna be dealing with the adult's name. Please provide us their location and possibly their date of birth. If you don't have that information, if someone does not have that information, we'll take the name, we'll take the address, and we'll take it on from there. But what happens is when someone calls into the hotline, it could possibly go like this. Ms. Mary is 102 years old. Ms. Mary has been residing in her home for almost 10 years. And Ms. Mary has had many falls within her home. It is uncertain, it is unknown if she's able to care for herself, and does she have family or any type of support system? And she's fallen in the last 3 weeks. When the hotline takes in, they are so critical because they are the first persons that we reported to you. They're the ones who make the determination, does this individual meet vulnerable adult criteria? And they meet the vulnerable criteria because number one is based on their age, their limitations, whether physical or mental limitations, sensory or dysfunction. If something is impairing their abilities to complete their activities of daily living. So when they hear that, oh, she's 102 years old, okay, that's one. Okay, she's living by herself. She's had many falls. So the question is, why is she having so many falls? Why is she having so many falls? So they will take in that information, and when they take the information, they will create a report. And when they create that report, based on where Miss Mary lives, they will then send that report to that county of Adult Protective Service. That region. There are 6 regions within the state of Florida. So we have a northeast, we have a central, we have southeast, okay? So there's 6 regions, all part of Adult Protective Service. So they will send it to that region would then take that report, and then they would give it to an investigator. The investigator will look at the report, because now the hotline is giving it to the investigator. Now the hotline is giving it to the investigator, but now it's the job of the investigator to determine, once again, does this individual meet vulnerable adult criteria? Because there have been times that we have gotten reports that the person is not a vulnerable adult, just based on age. Maybe the information was given that the person was 18 years old, the investigator was out there, right? Find that the person is 17. That goes to another department. So it is incumbent for the investigator to make determination, look at the report, and say, okay, based on this information, looks like they're a vulnerable adult. Let me see if there's any priors in our systems. Have we had any prior involvement with Miss Mary? Did she have any family? We look at our system, we look at it like, does she have any family? If there's any prior reports, we're gonna say, have there been any changes? Like, was she having falls in the prior cases? And if she has not had any falls in the prior cases, then we know that definitely there's been a decline. So when the investigator goes out to speak to Miss Mary, they're going to ask Miss Mary some questions, because the first thing that an investigator has to do is, number one, determine they're a vulnerable adult. But the second thing is that we have to assess that they have capacity. By assessing they have capacity, they need to have a sufficient information about their situation. And they are able to understand the situation, they understand consequences, and also, do they know how to remedy their situation?
Hi Dana, this is Megan Kioski, we're speaking.
So when the investigator speaks to Ms. Mary, say, hey, how you doing, Ms. Mary? For me, it'll be, how you doing, Ms. Mary? I'm Tamara Brown, and I don't call the adults vulnerable adults, because no one wants to be considered vulnerable. No one wants to be considered a victim. So the best thing is to establish a rapport with the individual and say, hey, Ms. Mary, I'm out here because I'm concerned about you. And this report is about you, but there's some questions that I need to ask you so I can determine how to help you, what's the current risk, and how can we reduce that risk if possible. And can we get you some more supports if that's possible too? So when Miss Mary, and I speak to Miss Mary, and I ask her this question, Miss Mary say, yes, this is my age, I was born on this day, this is my address. And I said, well, Miss Mary, you know, have you had any falls in the last 6 months? And Miss Mary could reply and say, yes, I've had a fall in the last 3 weeks. And I said, well, can you tell me what caused your fall? See, my questions are not gonna be only about the narrative to validate if the narrative is true, but it's also my questions of capacity, because I wanna know, do you understand your situation? But when she tells me, well, you know, I slipped in my room because I was walking out of the bathroom and I had this rug that was in place and it was not in the right place because the rug was flipped up, I fell. But what I've done